Hey guys, it's Mayen, and I'm trying to do a real short tutorial on how I'm going to make a small log cabin cake. We're starting with a 4x4 square cake. Doesn't have to be a perfectly ganached because we're going to put something on it. So here you're going to see the top view of what we're doing. I'm going to cover it with pre-made black fondant that I've already rolled out. And the reason why I'm doing this is because if there are any spaces on the logs that I'm going to put in later, it's going to be fine because the inside would be black. Like everybody else, I struggle with covering square cakes. And when I do this, let's always start with the... Let me push it a little bit. Alright, let's start with the edges first. And the nice part about this is that it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cover it with logs. So the object is pretty much just to cover it the fastest and neatest way you can. Alright, I don't want you to waste time waiting for me, so let me cut the video up a bit and I'll come back when I'm almost done. Okay, so I've managed to cover this small cake with fondant, and I've always struggled with small cakes, especially with squares. So the way I cheat is I put the bigger cake on top of a smaller surface, like that one, and it's elevated by a couple inches, and then it's easier for you to get rid of the folds, and easier for you to stretch. And don't cringe, you know, it's not a perfect cake, but we're going to try to clean up all the rough spots in a bit. But this is just how I cheat all the time. So, since this is small, we're going to work fast with our fondant smoothers. I think this is 4x4 if I'm not mistaken. Alright, and again, we don't, well, technically we don't have to do this, but, you know, while we're at it, might as well.
Here's your candy.
Thank you, honey.
Oh, I'll lay last.
Alright, so, remember the small vinyl sheets that I got from Joann's, the fabric store? So I made them into smaller pieces, smaller acetate pieces. And how I try to sharpen the edges is I just, well, this is really tiny, so let me move that up again. Alright. So I just pinch it. At the edges, it helps. You know, my edges are not perfect. It's still a work in progress for me. So that's how I try to get them a little cleaner. And I'm not sure if the trouble is because I work while the cake is cold, so the fondant sets up faster. Alright, so anyway. So the edges, like when you look at it, here, the ones that we kind of cleaned up are here, a little sharper, opposed to here, where it's a little rounder and it's not yet clean. Alright, so I'm going to do this just for demo's sake, and then we're going to proceed with making the roof for a small. Okay, now we're gonna work on the small roof for our small log cabin, and I'm choosing RKT for the roof just because it's small. I didn't have cake anymore, and I thought this is the fastest way to do it. So what I did was I measured a cardboard, a cake. I cut it from the cake circle, and it was like the size that I wanted compared to my bottom of the log cabin. And I put Rice Krispies on a plastic container and wait for it to set there. So right now we're going to take away some of the Rice Krispies. You wait until your Rice Krispies have set before you cut it. I refrigerated it for a few minutes and it made it a little firmer. Okay, just a little bit firmer. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check the size relative to the. Alright, pretty good. But now I need to make a triangle from the Rice Krispies. So I'm really bad at measurements, so I always just, no, I'm bad at measuring. So I always just do a good estimate of where we need to go. So estimate where the middle is and make your triangle cut from there. And I hope I don't break this. Okay. I think I am going to break it. Okay. Don't worry about it. It's not. Okay. I just need to shape it. Estimate the middle and do a triangular cut. And be careful with your hands. So it's actually still a little soft on the inside, but it's okay because I can still form it and make sure that it reaches all the ends of my cardboard. And that we're going to use for the roof of the log cabin. I'm going to do the same thing and do a black first layer of fondant for the roof. So don't worry about the bumps because again we're going to put logs on all of this. So again, I wanted a darker first layer just in case we have holes or spaces in between our logs. It makes it a little bit more realistic, I guess, and adds dimension if the spaces are dark instead of white. Alright, so we're gonna cut this and let's give the Rice Krispies a little more time to set, and then we're gonna assemble our okay, so here we are putting it on top of a 10-inch cake. Even if it's just a small cake on top, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I put in 4 dowels there, and I'm just going to thank you for the Etsy order. All right, so we're gonna put the small cake on top there. All right. And because we don't want this to fall, I'm going to dowel it one more time. And as you notice, the dowel is sharpened, so it pierces through the cake board here. And I normally, I would normally just try to pull it out again and then cut it. And then just put it back in. Okay, so here we are, and we're gonna make the logs for our small log cabin. And to make the logs, I usually use pre-made chocolate fondant. Roll it out to the size that you want, and you would want to make like indents on them just to make it look like several logs. And let's just use a toothpick to make that indent, and also use a toothpick to make lines and grooves. Okay, you can do this for every single log that you make, but what I try to do when I'm making my cakes is to make my work faster. So I try to work smarter. So what I try to do is I made something that looks like this in clay, and I baked it, and I made a mold of it. So you can definitely do that on your own, and just make sure that you seal your polymer clay log. So you seal it first before you mold it, or you can do this, 50 times. Let me show you what I did. So I did them in 2 different sized cavities. One had 2 indents and the other has 1. And I'm doing this because it just makes it a whole lot easier for me to work. And in like a couple seconds, I get all the indents that I need. And it's done. And when you if you're ever going to do this, just make sure that when we put them on the cake, don't put them all lined up perfectly, and the randomness is what's going to make it a lot neater. So as you can see, it's just a couple seconds of putting it in there, and then you save all the time in making all the impressions. And I'm not showing you this just because I'm selling molds. I don't even sell these. But I'm showing you this so you guys can have an idea on how to make your work easier and faster. And if you can make a polymer clay log, then go ahead and mold that. And it just makes your work a whole lot easier. And not because you're using mold, it means you're any less of an artist. We hear that sometimes. If you want to handcraft them, go right ahead. But honestly, if it makes the work faster, I would give that a shot. Alright, so in the effect that we wanted for this cake, we wanted the log effect. So what we're going to do is put them in alternate rows. So here I'm using Tylose glue, and we're going to start from the bottom. Alright, that is my crappy turntable. Alright, so we're doing a mini log cabin, and we're just going to cut the excess here, and we're going to alternate this with another one on the other side, and we're going to make the first row stick out. See that one? Right. However, at the bottom here, we're going to make that exactly there. So how about here? Alright, so this is the effect that I'm actually going for. Okay, so let's go through the second line. Well, you know what? I am actually going to have to cut a piece of that for the door. So let's go ahead and do that. And don't worry about it because it's really easy to work with. And there you go. And then for the second part, we're going to, and only do this, guys, if you're kind of comfortable with your cake. My cake is really firm. I'm not scared that I'm gonna nick it. So here on the second part, what I'm trying to do is make the patterns like this. I'll do that one. Okay. It's the concept is very similar to when you use bamboo for the borders. You can start with just two bamboo figures or bamboo molds if you have them, and then alternate the indents, and that's gonna make a whole lot of difference. Okay, so here on the side, what we're trying to do again is keep it in here and cut it exactly here. Okay. Oh my god, I need a new turntable. Okay, so right here you can see the indent is here. We're actually using the same mold for this layer. So I'm gonna try to do is just cut it here and cut it there, and the indents will not line up. And it's gonna look a lot more random. It's a little more glue. Okay, so let me do this. You get the idea. We are alternating the logs, and you get the general idea. So let me finish all that all the way to the back, and we'll do the roof.